I am working very hard on my personal finances, and I've said it before. It always helps me to think of people I love, know, and trust, such as my sister Shanae Ochoa, Miss Michelle Obama, Sir Ken Robinson, Malala Yousafzai, and so just like President Donald Trump and Dr. Ben Carson say, think big picture. They literally both have a book that says the title is Think Big or Think Big Picture, Think Holistically. So, in doing my personal finances, I'm thinking like, okay, short term, 0 days to 6 months, midterm, 6 months to 5 years, 5 years plus. And to me, part of thinking big picture is trying to juggle a bunch of different things that maybe at first seem completely incompatible. Like, how do I do all these 20 different things simultaneously? And immediately, I don't know. But I decided to take 1 hour to 1 hour and a half. Right now I'm at 49 minutes and 17 seconds. And think about them. How do I juggle eating healthy fortnight salads, but not eating more than 3,500 calories? Yeah, I can't see, even thinking about it, I get flustered and confused. But I start with my promises. So I promised Wyon and Mole that I would pay for surfing for 1 month, and I gave them a copy of this exact same promissory sheet. And so first thing I do is like, hey, do I have enough money to keep all my promises? Check. Because I know it sounds very like street level psychology, but if your word isn't worth gold, then in some deep philosophical sense, you have nothing. Because money is just an expression of human behavior and promises, and these are literally promissory notes. And so, yeah. I try to think about thinking while I'm thinking. So I try to think, all right, what are my biases? Confirmation bias. They say in each of our lifetime, about maybe half of 1% of the energy we spend is on priming. 80 to 90% of thinking itself is pattern match recognition, cognition, which is super mind-blowing if you think about it. That once you get that initial priming, which is less than half of 1%, then pattern match recognition takes over for the rest of your life to the day you die. And if you don't know that or think about that, then you're basically almost entirely controlled by pattern match recognition and confirmation bias, power of suggestion. So the only two things we can really control that control the rest of it all are goal orientation and priming, which ironically make up less than 1% of the process of thinking. So you probably have about 80 to 90% of the population goes through their entire life being controlled by pattern match recognition, confirmation bias, and power of suggestion. And then you probably have like 10 to 20% of the population is aware of how it all works and is very obsessed with priming and goal orientation. Because it's like David Geffen said, for the rich, life is 50 to 80% just a self-fulfilling prophecy. Nothing more, nothing less. And for the poor, life is about 97% not a self-fulfilling prophecy because they never think big picture. They never establish the priming. They never establish the goal orientation. So basically, their entire thinking throughout their life is controlled by power of suggestion, confirmation bias, pattern match recognition, based upon their initial priming and the goals that their society sets for them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you look at it from an aggregate biology, epidemiology, hive mechanics perspective, that's normal, and it couldn't really even be any other way. So I have $500 in savings to save up for the biostatistics class, which costs $1,500, Cambodian government wants a $3,000 deposit for anybody coming into the country. So next month I'm going to try to save up $750 on top of the $500. Over 4 years, I want to save $2,100 a month of my guaranteed government pension of $3.1 million over 40 plus years. That way, after 4 years, Sakhang Sohi Suhan and I, or Suhan Sohi Sakhang and I, will have 100,000 US to buy a piece of real estate, hopefully at something around the ballpark of, let's say, 150,000. And then, because in real estate, cash is king. There's never any point to finance a vehicle, a car, and you could almost make an argument that there's no point to ever finance a home. And that's a little bit more radical to say. Never, ever, 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 under any circumstances whatsoever, finance something that depreciates like a motorbike or a vehicle of any kind, or a boat, or a plane. Never. Never violate that one and you start back at zero. You can almost say the same thing about real estate. Just use cash. Have some discipline. You will build up wealth. The fastest possible way to build up wealth in the world is to use cash to buy real estate. If you just did that and you didn't do anything else, you'd become one of the richest people in the world. And then I got to think about the Ironmans, which I already paid $750 for the Ironman that got moved to the 1st of June of next year. And according to my notes, on 12 February 2020, I purchased a round-trip flight from Siem Reap to Manila, Philippines, May 31st to June 13th for $371.95. Whenever I purchase anything, I spend about 20 minutes of thinking, and I think, all right, so I don't have to carry around a bunch of paperwork like Bernie Sanders and look like a fool, like to remind myself of everything I promised everyone. I try to do things like 31st, 3-1. Okay, what day should I return? Let me return a 1-3. That way I can memorize it. That way I'm not just carrying around binders of notes. And then I think 3-1. 3-1, May 3-1, June 1-3, 3-7-1. And when you do that, you get into the whole pattern match recognition. So one of the goals of thinking is to be able to think better, faster, and stronger than everyone else. So, I mean, that's kind of the point of understanding this. So, I'm just thinking, I want to be more like Malala Yousafzai, Shanae Ochoa, Michelle Obama, Sir Ken Robinson. And as y'all notice this one, I thought, the only way people cross the billionaire mark is through an initial public offering of shares. Really, like 99% of the time, that's it. That's the game. That's how it works. Bottom line, end of story, go home. If anybody tells you anything different, they don't know how it works. So the only thing I can think that might be slightly different is to go from 3.1 million net worth now to 3.1 billion net worth is to maybe do a Bitcoin-based initial public offering. But that mechanism, that has not been actually built yet. Because I think of Bitcoins like the UN. You have all the fiat currencies in the world. They're constantly failing, like the Soviet Union. The ship that can never sink sinks. Fiat currency worth nothing. My friends and I go to Iraq, obliterate the value of the fiat currency of Iraq. Zimbabwe, fiat currency worth nothing. And then you have the United States, which has the most powerful, most stable fiat currency ever created in the history of our species. And the only thing that really counterweights that is Bitcoin. But I think of Bitcoin as like for the poor, like a UN. Because I think of the US as like the executive country in the world. And I think of the UN kind of like the Congress, the 193 like senator UN nation states, which counter the executive state, the US. So the UN, the Congress of the world's currency, is Bitcoin. And the US dollar is the executive country's currency. So anyways, I thought, this is my reasoning and my thinking. And as you all know, and you tell me all the time, I should have been a university professor. So I'll cut this video short at 10 minutes. And that way y'all can know what I'm thinking. And then start tipping me, leaking me, nudging me, and power of suggestioning me back. Love you all. Bye.